All right, peace, peace, peace. It's been a while since I've been on social media. I had to take a break from Facebook, YouTube. It got to the point where, the information that I'm putting out, as well as information that I've seen other people put out that is geared towards waking up our people, seems to be falling on, you know, deaf ears. Um, or deaf ears, I should say, and death. If you get my meaning. Um, so that's why I had to step away from social media for a minute, man. And I don't think I'll be coming back as often as I've done in the past. But I am going to be on social media, but I'm just gonna limit the amounts of time that you guys will probably see me on social media. And another reason why I wasn't coming on social media is because I'm trying to think of different topics that have not really been talked about, or if they have been talked about, they haven't been talked about as often. And it's getting pretty hard to come up with some very very interesting topics, because you don't want to get boggled down with the same topics over and over and over and over and over. And that's pretty much what we've been doing, and it's just to the point now where we keep talking about the same things, and our people keep looking at those problems in the same fashion, the same manner, and you know they end up doing the same thing over and over and over. And you know what they say about that? That's the definition of insanity. And to the outside world, that's the way we look, like a bunch of insane people. So I came up with a topic, and that topic was based off of something that I watched this weekend. And that topic is dealing with the movie that I watched this weekend. And that movie is called American Skin by Nate Parker. I've seen different posts and reviews about the movie. Some people like it, some people did not like it. I even saw some posts where people were like, don't even waste your time watching this movie. I've seen questions like, why are they putting this movie out at this particular time? Blah 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 blah. Whatever your take is, as far as this movie is concerned, that's your take on it. I wanted to watch the movie because when I saw the trailer on YouTube, I was like, okay, finally, we get a movie where we get justice by any means necessary. Meaning that if we can't get justice in the court system, then we get justice in our own way. And a lot of people look at that as saying, or as they look at that as thinking that that's not the correct way to do things. That two wrongs don't make a right. I like to go with that line that Sister Soldier said: two wrongs may not, two rights or two wrongs don't make it right, but it damn sure makes it even. So when I saw the trailer and I saw how the trailer was moving, I was like, okay, finally, this is gonna be a movie to where, okay, we get to watch that movie, and if we can't get justice in the world of reality, we can get justice in the world of fictition, something that is a fictitious display of something that actually occurs in the real world. So that's the reason why I watched it. And when I watched it, I was very very disappointed. Love Nate Parker. I thought he was brilliant in the movie Birth of a Nation. I thought he was also brilliant in the movie that he played in with Denzel Washington. I can't remember his co-star's name, but she's the light skinned chick that is she's the lead heroine in the series that is on the Oprah Winfrey Network. I think it's called Underground. But and everyone in that movie was, they were brilliant. I like that as well. Although they didn't get a chance to really take that series to the next level because it was canceled. I think because the network that series was being displayed on was bought out by another company, and they didn't like the direction that the series was going, so they canceled it. And that kind of like goes along with, the shit that I'm getting ready to get into with American Skin. It's just been fucked up movies one after the other as it pertains to our plight in this country, whether you're dealing with topics or the topic that Nate Parker tried to touch on, which was police brutality, or you're dealing with the whole slave narrative and how, they're saying that, black people were taken from Africa and, we were forced into servitude and things of that nature. And even that shit is not true. Even that whole narrative is suspect now, because we're finding evidence, and a lot of evidence, and there are a lot of people that are putting this information out that black people are already here, and it was only a few people that they took from the continent of Africa and brought here and enslaved them along with the indigenous black people that were already here. But that's another story for another day. So with American Skin, the synopsis is based on Nate Parker's character, who is called Lincoln. They call him Link for short. He is a military veteran. I think he was in the Marines. And so the story is based on, this man trying to get justice for his son that was killed by police officers, or one police officer in particular. And, that's what the story is basically, that's the basis of the story. And so, when I'm looking at the movie, the different events that build up to the climax, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was beautiful. I thought the acting, the emotions from not only the character of Nate Parker, but as well as the actors that played the inmates that were in the jail, the civilians that were held hostage, as well as the police officers that were portraying the antagonists in the movie. I thought all of them were brilliant. They were very, very convincing, and the way that it was written, the topics that they brought up on both sides, meaning how people of color feel towards the cops, as well as how the cops feel towards, those people who are on the other side of that coin that they look at as criminals. I thought it was brilliantly done, and I thought that they hit the nail on the head with the accuracy as well as the realness that they brought to the table as far as these actors are concerned, as they displayed those attitudes that have been running rampant in this country for hundreds of years. So with that being said, like I said, the build up to the climax was superb. Where they lose me at, or not lose me, but where I find disappointment in the movie is when you get to the climax and you're thinking, okay, we're getting ready to get justice. Now, we already know Nate is probably going to go to jail, go to prison, or he's probably going to be killed. We already know how that's going to play out. But the individual that killed his son, he's going to push, he's going to grow some plants. This fool is getting ready to take a dirt nap. So the problem, or there are plenty of problems with this movie, but like I said, when it takes you up to that climax, when you think he's getting ready to get justice because they find this dude guilty, that's where it just takes a nosedive. So let's deal with some of the problems of this film. All right, so one of the things that Lincoln was trying to do was this: did he get his point across? Did it stick in the minds of the perpetrators, meaning the cops and people that think like them? I would say yes. I think he got his point across. I think it resonated in the minds of the police officers, as well as the hostages that were there, meaning the civilians, as well as the inmates that were there. which they probably understood where he was coming from the jump, as you know, as far as the inmates were concerned, and even some of the hostages. But was it enough to make it stick? And my answer to that is no. And now when we bring that into the world of reality, how many times have we seen these things play out in the media where someone has a phone and they're filming? Sometimes they may catch the events as they transpire in the middle of those events, or they may catch it from the time it starts all the way to its ending. And for the most part, the person who is the perpetrator gets away with murder, and the person who is the victim, whether they live or they die, is usually viewed not as a victim, but as they're usually viewed as the combatant. They're usually viewed as the individual who has caused the problem. They're usually vilified, and everything about their past, whether good or bad, and 9 times out of 10 is the bad stuff that they highlight. You know, that's what is put out, or they just outright lie on these individuals, which is what happened to Nate Parker or his character Lincoln in the movie. Because at the end of the movie, they have this whole narrative that they put out to where they say they had a mental breakdown. I think they even said something about he had ties to Al Qaeda because, you know, he was a military vet. It was all kind of crazy shit that they put out to where they tried to make him look like he was the bad person, and this cop who was actually, or both cops who were actually bad, turned out to be good. But then there's a thing that I've learned as far as the reason why most officers do not get convicted is based on something called what is it called? Qualified immunity that the officers have. So when they go through something of this nature, they're not even prosecuted. In the past couple of years, you have seen maybe a handful, if that many, officers who have been involved in things of this nature, as far as what this movie portrays, as being convicted or found guilty by a jury of their peers. But for the most part, these cats get off. And with this film, you know, as far as one of the things that I just stated, you know, as to the reason why it takes a nosedive for me, is because, okay, you set out to prove a point, but the thing is, these people knew this shit before they pulled the trigger. They have these conversations, whether they have these conversations with people of color or not. Those conversations are talked about, whether they're behind, you know, in the privacy of your home, behind closed doors. They have these conversations, and for the most part, these people know that we have feelings. These people know that we love our loved ones, but they don't see us in that manner. Only thing they see is what they think they know and what the media has conjured up and put out in the press, or, you know, on news media outlets that you can visually see, that makes us look other than ourselves. And then sometimes we don't help, you know, in that situation as well, because some of us do some crazy ass shit and then get caught up into the things that we're doing. And then, you know, that whole scenario plays out to the point where you're actually living up to the fucking stereotypes, which means it's no longer a stereotype. You just proved the stereotype as a fact as far as that particular instance or instances are concerned, or as it pertains to whatever the fuck it is that you're doing. So dealing with these narratives of these movies, as a black man, as a black woman, or just black people in general, you get tired of seeing the same old scenario where, whether it's a slave narrative or dealing with what Nate was trying to put out, or even with movies where we're either the low down dirty ass black man, black woman, we're up to no good, we're pimps, we're hoes, we're hustlers, we're gangbangers, we're drug dealers, we're the worst of the worst. 9 times out of 10, those are the type of movies that you see. And it's getting to the point where when you see those movies, you know, you get tired of that same old scenario, man. And like with this movie that Nate Parker did, in a sense, it's kind of dealing with the same shit, because you're like, at the end of the movie, you know, this brother is going to die, or he's going to go to prison. And sure enough, at the end of the movie, he gets a bullet straight to the dome and he dies. So not only does he die, he loses his child and he loses his life in the process. And the cops that orchestrated this whole fiasco in the first place, these fools get to go home. They get to see their families. They get to live to see another day. Hell, they will probably even grow old and get a chance to spend time with their grandkids and teach them and mold them, and probably mold them into being just like these assholes were. But you get tired of seeing movies like that. I want to see a movie where not only do we get justice by any means necessary, I want to see a movie where we get justice by any means necessary, and the black man or the black woman or the group of black people, none of them go to prison and none of them lose their fucking life. That's the way white folks play out their shit when they do their movies. Some of them could be fucked up from the door, but in the end, they still live. So if you're going to give me a movie, if you're going to build me all the way up to the climax, and I'm thinking that, okay, he's going to make this motherfucker take a dirt nap, and he's going to walk away and live happily ever after. It's fantasy, man. You can write the shit the way you want to write it. Give me that. If I can't get justice in the real world, then at least give me the illusion that I can get justice in a fictitious world. And why do I say that? Because when you look at movies, even when you're listening to certain songs, whether it's dealing with R&B or, you know, hip hop or whatever the case may be, even country, those types of genres inspire people to do better or to be better or to aspire to, you know, greater heights. So when it comes to black people, we need that shit. If you're gonna write a fucking film, produce a film, and bring that to the cinematic theater, then at least give us some shit that makes us feel like, okay, we can do this shit. That's what Black Panther did. Even though T'Challa was the fucking enemy and Killmonger was the goddamn hero. But either way it went, Black Panther did that for us. It was 2 movies that did it for me, or 3. Black Panther, Blade, and A Time to Kill by Samuel Jackson. But if you're gonna do a movie, man, give us more movies to where we win in the end instead of fucking losing. So now, the hero is, like I said, is usually killed or in prison. There's no real justice or change, and things go back to business as usual. Or the family takes a payoff, meaning they sue the officer or the police department or the city, and the taxpayers, meaning the everyday people, end up paying the money that the family is ultimately going to get. So the money doesn't come from the perpetrator. The money doesn't come from the police department. That's taxpayers' money. So they basically giving you the fucking finger. You're suing, but it's your own fucking money that you're using to pay for a motherfucker that did a heinous act, and they know they did a heinous act. But because of these laws and stipulations and how they flip shit, they get away with it. So, you know, that was the problem, or some of the problems that I have with, you know, Nate Parker's American Skin. And, you know, like I said, building up to the climax, man, you know, that moment he pulls the trigger and you realize that there are no bullets in the clip. And then you find out the real reason for the hostage scenario was based on the fact that he wanted this dude that killed his son to feel that pain that he felt for a whole year. And, you know, and I'm like, this white boy didn't give a shit about that. And the only reason why he felt the way he felt at that particular time is because he was looking at the fact that he may not go home to see his wife and his child. That was when it clicked for him. But it had to take that in order for him to realize that he was wrong. He knew he was wrong in the first place. Now, the reason why all of this shit came about is because they saw a black man who was in a regular ass car traveling through an affluent neighborhood, him and his son. I think it was like between 11 and 12 o'clock that night, and the police officers looked at them, profiled them, because they were like, if they're traveling through this neighborhood at that particular time, they got to be up to no good. And even in the damn movie, this white boy kept saying, I was following protocol. He was like, I feared for my life. But yet when you look at the movie, he was pissed off because the young man was filming him. And as far as I know, to this day, there are no laws on that now, unless they just recently passed the laws where you can film an officer from a safe distance, as long as you don't impede, their investigation. So when the white boy went to go and, manhandle this young man, you can see the kid turn and he runs. So when the officer shoots him, he shoots him in the fucking back. How is he a threat if he's running away from you? But this is what this white boy rolled with. But all of that was just another lie built on top of another lie built on top of another lie, because he didn't want to bring out the real reason as to why he shot this young man, and as to the reason why they stopped him in the first place. And that was because they were black. They were driving an automobile that was not something that you were seeing in that neighborhood, and they felt like that they were up to no good. And they looked at it like, okay, our job is to protect the citizens of this particular neighborhood, not you niggas. And so that was the real reason why they pulled them over, and all of this shit went left, because they had racist ass tendencies from the fucking door. Now, when people make these statements of you need to provide better police training, that ain't got nothing to do with better police training, man. You cannot change the way a motherfucker thinks. They have to do that on their own. Everyone is shaped and molded by what they've been taught. They have to unlearn that. You can provide all the goddamn police training you want as far as how to handle people of color, but if your mindset is stuck on stupid, meaning you're looking at these people as being the underclass, the underbelly of society, then you're going to always view them in that racist ass manner. Even the police officer that was in there that was supposedly a Hispanic guy, he sounded just like white people. He was a person of color with a white mindset. And there was I don't like using the term Hispanic and Latino and things of that nature, but there was another brown man that was part of the jury selection, and he was a inmate in this jailhouse, and he was talking to him, I guess in Spanish or whatever the language was. I was like, what the fuck is he saying? Because he was giving homeboy the business to the point where the Hispanic cop got up and he was pissed the fuck off, but he couldn't get to the dude because they had him, handcuffed, or had the plastic straps on his wrist, so he couldn't really do shit. But he wanted to beat the dude's ass because this dude was, whatever it was that he was saying to him, he didn't like it. But I'm pretty sure that whatever he was saying, he was letting this motherfucker know, bitch, you are Uncle Tom. So the ending of the movie, and this is where, when it takes a nosedive, it hits rock bottom. And I'm gonna end on this note. After it's all said and done, the white boy comes up to Nate and he's talking, or to Lincoln, and he's talking to Lincoln. And the way it's playing out, I'm like, I know this motherfucker is not going to ask him for a hug. And I was like, if he asks him for a goddamn hug and then Lincoln turns around and hug him or shake this bitch's hand, I'm gonna kick a fucking hole in my TV. So what happens is, this white boy says what he says, and it's like, okay, he understood where Nate was coming from, but that shit don't mean anything. Why? Because Nate's son is dead, and now this brother's getting ready to go to prison while you get to live your life, keep your career intact, and go home to your family. So he agrees to walk out ahead of everyone else so that no one gets shot, and he warns all of his fellow police officers, it's over with. Everyone is coming out. No one is armed. I think Nate or Lincoln was about 4 to 5. He was about the 5th or the 6th person, I think, to get in line to come out. So as he's going around, walking behind everyone else to go out the door, it's like as soon as the white boy says, hold your fire, a sniper takes him out, shoots him dead in the fucking head, and he dies right there in the police station. So his life ends. He loses his life. He loses his son. His son loses his life. So then you see the young brother that had the film crew that was filming all of this, because this was the documentary that Nate wanted them to do, to put out to the world so that they can see and understand what the fuck black people have had to go through and endure in this country for damn near 500 years, and is still continuing to this very day. So he has like a couple of DVDs that he's got packaged up, and he's putting these things into an envelope to mail them out. And Nate dies not knowing that, or not knowing if what they filmed would actually resonate with people to the point where laws would be changed, to the point where attitudes would be changed, to the point where, are you people who are other than black are you going to start looking at us as human beings the way that you look at yourself? The way that you look at the people that come from your race, are you going to start looking at us like that? And I sat back in my chair, man, and I was like, what the fuck? You went through all of this shit just to get this motherfucker to see your fucking point and hope like hell it would change your mind? Man, that movie pissed me off so fucking much. It pissed me off to the point where I wanted to punch a hole in the wall. Because I'm like, this is the same shit that we look at all the time, to the point where I've met people who say, man, I can't even watch shit like that because I get mad. And the reason why they get mad is because they watch black people take all this shit, all of this crap, get the shit beat out of us. We get killed. Our women get raped. They steal stuff from us. They take stuff from us. They make us feel like second-class citizens. Then we end up going to prison and doing all this goddamn time. And then at the end of the movie, we get no fucking justice. And that was the same thing in this movie, man. The action in it was good. The drama, it was a good drama, but it declines when you get to the climax of the movie, because you're hoping that when you get to the climax, you're hoping that the ending fits along with all of the events that led up to the goddamn climax, and it does not. So now, am I going to tell you not to watch the movie? No. You watch the movie, you may get a different opinion as far as from how I felt about the movie, but to me, I hope that the next movie that Nate comes out with is way better than this shit right here. But if not, they don't need to. And this is not just dealing with Nate. Any fucking filmmaker that's black, female or male, that comes out with a movie, man, don't come out with no more fucking movies like this. Don't come out with that slave narrative shit. And if you do, then goddamn it, make a movie about the black martial art that our people started up called capoeira, and how they use that shit to get free and beat the fuck out of the goddamn slave masters. Make a movie to where we win at the end and we live happily ever after. And if you're not gonna do that, man, stop making these fucking movies that always make us think that, okay, finally we're gonna win, finally we're gonna get to the promised land, only to be stopped at the fucking door. We can't even enter into the gates of salvation, or them gates that represent heaven, in order to find, peace of mind. If you're not gonna make those type of movies to where we get to cross over and experience heaven, don't make no more fucking movies, man, because this shit right here was a complete disappointment for me. So on that note, man, I'm gonna end this video. I didn't usually, do my usual thing, being rah-rah. I didn't feel like I needed to do that for this video. But yeah, man, that's how I feel about the movie. So, hopefully I'll be making some more videos, in the future. And hopefully they will be, entertaining, and if they're not, yo, hit me up in the description. Let me know, hey, let me know, tell me, hey, bruh, just stop making videos. Your shit is boring. Or, encourage me, inspire me, and, give me some pointers on, how I can take my shit to the next level. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I salute you. Peace. And Black Power, y'all. Stay focused, stay vigilant, stay positive.